1998 year in review continues with me, Daniel Rock08, and today I'm talking about WCW's Halloween Havoc. This is a weird show. This is famous for a couple of reasons. It is famous for the biggest piece of shit in Hogan Warrior and one of the biggest pieces of gold in Goldberg and Diamond Dallas Page. It's also famous for another reason. I'll talk about that later. So let's start right now with the opening match. Chris Jericho defeats Raven to retain his television title. There's not a whole lot of things going on. This is after the one-man feud that Jericho's having with himself because Goldberg is just one of those guys who cannot make fun of himself because he kind of has an ego problem. He is after that and before his debut on the WWF. And then you have Raven. This is after the Ravens flock has disbanded, but before his series of great tag team matches with Perry Saturn against Malenko and Benoit and before the ECW. So I guess you guys can say that both Jericho and Raven, they're just going with the flow. Even flow, if you catch what I mean. Get it? Even flow. They're going with the flow, even flow. Raven's finisher is the even flow DDT. And Chris Jericho's theme is a ripoff of Even Flow by Pearl Jam. I'm a funny ass man, and you know you're just laughing inside. Anyways, Jericho defeats Raven and just whatever. As I said, they're just going with the flow, the even flow. There, I said it twice. Laugh harder, bitch. 6 out of 10. Nothing much to say. They're just going with the flow. Wrath defeats Meng in a bad match. Wrath is going on a path of destruction. He's basically like Goldberg. I guess Eric Bischoff also likes big sweaty men, but he didn't like this big sweaty man as much. They tried really hard to get Wrath really over, and he was really over. But they kind of just ruined him. But Wrath wasn't really that good, anyways. I mean, this is Adam Bomb we're talking about. Anyways, bad match, 3 out of 10. Disco Inferno wins the #1 contendership match for the Cruiserweight title against Juventud Guerrera, the former Cruiserweight champion. Juventud lost his Cruiserweight title to Billy Kidman on the September 14th episode of Nitro, the Fire Me, I'm Already Fired episode. Disco Inferno wins the #1 contendership, and he will face Billy Kidman later on. Alex Wright defeats Finlay in a bad, forgettable match, 2 out of 10. Saturn defeats Lodi in another forgettable match. Apparently, Lodi owns Saturn, and Saturn is his slave. This even got a video package. So, what do they do with Raven and Perry Saturn after having a fucking good match at Fall Brawl? Well, Saturn is Lodi's slave, and Raven is just going with the flow. Whatever. 3 out of 10. Nothing special. This story really could have played out on a Thunder, and you would have gotten the same exact results. Didn't need to be on pay-per-view. In fact, actually, the last 4 matches didn't need to be on pay-per-view whatsoever. Kidman defeats Disco Inferno in a forgettable Cruiserweight title match. It was okay, 5.5. But again, you could have just skipped Disco versus Juventud, do that on a Nitro, and then do this match. And you want to know something? Maybe if they would have cut out these matches and cut a couple of matches short, maybe if Hogan and Warrior didn't go in overtime and didn't go over, maybe Halloween Havoc wouldn't have gotten to have, maybe WCW wouldn't have to pull the plug for Halloween Havoc. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. 5.5. Then we get to something that's fucking crazy here. Everyone likes to bitch and cry about Roman Reigns looking strong. And Roman Reigns, the big dog, he has to look strong. Well, let me tell you something, brother. Roman Reigns, on his best day, the big dog, still cannot be overpowered by another dog. And I'm talking about the dog-faced gremlin in Rick Steiner. Because on this particular night, the dog-faced gremlin, Rick Steiner, he He makes Roman Reigns look mortal. Rick Steiner, Buff Bagwell defeats Scott Steiner and the Giant to become the tag team champions. Buff Bagwell says he has seen the light and he is going to go with Rick Steiner, the same man that injured him, by the way. He forgives Rick Steiner. And Buff Bagwell, he is going to turn and he is going to be with Rick Steiner. So, in this match, he had enough of Scott Steiner's shit. Before the match, on an episode of Nitro, Buff Bagwell swings a chair at Scott Steiner, and Rick Steiner believes that that's enough to believe in what Buff Bagwell says, that he's seen the light. Well, he was wrong. I guess Rick Steiner is still as stupid as Sting is. Buff Bagwell, for the 10,000th time, they done duked us. They done duked us. Buff Bagwell turns on Rick Steiner, stays with NWO Black and White, and beats the shit out of Rick Steiner. Then he leaves the match, and Rick Steiner now has to face Scott Steiner and the Giant. And as I alluded to earlier, Rick Steiner, even though he got his ass whipped, and even though Buff Bagwell turned on him, Rick Steiner still defeats Scott Steiner and the Giant to become the tag team champions with Buff Bagwell. So even with the betrayal, Rick Steiner still beats Scott Steiner and the Giant. But I'm not done yet. They done duked us. That leads us to the next match. Rick Steiner won the match, so now he gets to have a match with Scott Steiner. Finally. Okay, so now you're saying, well, okay, Scott Steiner's going to beat Rick Steiner because, well, it's basically 3-on-1. And so that's basically what this match is. It's 3-on-1. But even with that, so Buff Bagwell, he comes back. He has a Bill Clinton mask on for some fucking reason. He comes back with a Bill Clinton mask and he beats the shit out of Rick Steiner. And the Giant comes back and Scott Steiner. So it's basically a 3-on-1 handicap match. But even after all that, Rick Steiner still defeats Scott Steiner in this match. That's right, you heard me. On this night, Halloween Havoc 1998, Rick Steiner, even after getting betrayed again, they damn boozled us, Shivani. Even though he got betrayed by Buff Bagwell. Even though he has to face Scott Steiner and the Giant on his own. He still wins the tag team championships on his own, despite getting betrayed, despite it being a handicap match. And even though Buff Bagwell comes back and beats his ass, and it's still a handicap match, Rick Steiner still beats Scott Steiner. So the big dog, Roman Reigns, has nothing on the dog-faced gremlin. Ruff, ruff, that is one powerful dog. I guess the dog-faced gremlin did, in fact, have his day. So, on this particular night, you guys can all bitch and cry about Roman Reigns and how they have to make him look strong. They got to make him look strong, kick out of 4 choke slams from Kane, and win all these handicap matches. Well, you want to know something? Rick Steiner says, bitch, please, the dog-faced gremlin beats the big dog when it comes to looking strong in their yards. Ha, ha, ha. Woof, woof. After this match, Rick Steiner has a little confrontation with Chucky. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. I don't understand. 6.5 out of 10. Once again, like I said, the big dog has nothing on the dog-faced gremlin. Scott Hall defeats Kevin Nash in a good match. A 6 out of 10. This is a good match. This is kind of a shitty thing going on, as I stated earlier. On Raw, they're playing up Road Warrior Hawk's real life pain-killing addiction. And on Nitro, they're playing off Scott Hall's real-life alcohol abuse problem. So you have that going on. It's the war of the shitty, cringy storylines. Which horrible addiction is the worser of the two? I guess you can say, well, at least WCW didn't have Scott Hall stumble off of their Titantron and die off camera like Raw did. But whatever. In this match, Kevin Nash beats the shit out of Scott Hall. He jackknife powerbombs him not once, not twice, but thrice. He kicks his ass 3 jackknife powerbombs later, but he doesn't pin him. He doesn't pin him because Chico, Razor Ramon, you done broke his heart. Big Daddy Cool, honk, 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 honk. His heart is broken. His heart is so broken that he can't even bring himself to pin Scott Hall. So he just goes over the top rope and walks away from the situation. Unfortunately, WCW doesn't walk away from this horrible situation themselves, unlike Kevin Nash does on this particular night. This is a good match, 6 out of 10, but I hate this whole storyline going on. So which, in your opinion, is the worser of the two? Road Warrior Hawk's pain-killing addiction or Scott Hall's alcohol addiction playing out on Raw and Nitro, respectively? Which is the worser of the two? I say Scott Hall because at least Road Warrior Hawk didn't, at least Scott Hall didn't fall off of the fucking Titantron like Hawk did. What the fuck? 6 out of 10. Bret Hart defeats Sting to retain his United States title in an unfortunately really forgettable match. So you have the worst version of Bret Hart, WCW's Bret Hart, which is just, he don't give a fuck. In WCW, don't give a fuck because they don't know what to do with him. And Bret Hart don't give a shit. And then you have him facing the worst version of Sting, the Wolfpack Sting. Everyone bitches about Joker Sting. Well, you know what? Joker Sting is about 1,000,000 times better than Wolfpack Sting. But at least Sting, unlike Bret Hart, is actually kind of happy. I'm actually happy for Sting because unlike Scott Hall and Road Warrior Hawk, unfortunately, he has gotten over his demons. This is during the time period where Sting has found God and is basically a huge religious guy. This is just a kind of weird, it's an okay match, but nothing to it. Bret Hart beats the shit out of Sting with his baseball bat, and that's basically it. 6 out of 10, I guess the Sharpshooter is better than the Scorpion Deathlock. And then we get to the match that needs to be talked about the most. It's Hogan and the Warrior. And oh my god, this match is shitty. This match is very, very, very shitty. It's one of the worst matches in WCW. Actually, probably the worst match in WCW. Actually, I will say it is the worst match in WCW history. Had I was doing negative ratings, this show overall would be equal to, I'd say, maybe a Spring Stampede 2000. This match is garbage. WCW tried their absolute hardest to recreate something. But just like the Warrior said, this match is just simply unrecreatable. This match is so awful, awful in every sense of the word. You look up the word bad and you don't see a description, you just see a picture of this match. Most specifically, you see a picture of Hollywood Hogan failing at trying to set the Warrior on fire. So they do this little fireball spot. And so he has the flash paper and he has the match. But instead of catching Warrior with this fireball spot, blinding him, he blinds himself and burns off his eyebrows. It's one of the most unintentionally hilarious moments of all time. This match is just bad. And then Horace Hogan comes out with a steel chair, whacks the Warrior in the back, and that's just enough for Hogan to get his win back and beat the Warrior. This is Yeah. Wow. The difference between Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior from WrestleMania 6, their match from that night, April 1st, 1990, in Toronto, Canada, in the Sky Dome. And the match they have here, Hollywood Hogan versus The Warrior, October 29th, 1998, in the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, is night and day. That match in WrestleMania 6 was amazing. This match from Halloween Havoc 1998 is garbage. It's the worst match in WCW history. And it gets, well, WCW may not be able to call him the Ultimate Warrior, but this match gets the ultimate dud. Not a super dud, not a mega dud, but an ultimate dud. Oh, god damn, it's bad. Then we get to the main event. Goldberg versus Diamond Dallas Page for the WCW Championship. This is an amazing match. A 9 out of 10. The best Goldberg match. And you know what? The best Diamond Dallas Page match up until his match with Sting on Nitro in 1999. This is a spectacular match. It's just too damn bad that the pay-per-view audience back in 1998 couldn't see the conclusion of this match because WCW is so fucking stupid that they can't bother to tell the pay-per-view companies, hey yo, we're going over, damn it. So we're going to need an extra like 20 minutes. No. So, because they didn't do that, the pay-per-view companies pulled the plug on Halloween Havoc. And they had to refund, and they lost millions of dollars on this show. All this shit. So just think, go back in time to 1998. You're so excited for Goldberg Diamond Dallas Page. You just witnessed the shittiest match of all time in WCW. And although that match is shitty, you know what? Goldberg DDP, you know what? It's going to make up for it. It's going to make up for it, and it wouldn't even matter. This show will be good, and that match is going to be awesome. I can't wait, because that match is going to make up for it. Goldberg is the hottest thing. DDP, the people's champion. This is going to be great. 2 minutes into the match, guess what? Yoink! There goes the plug. And guess what, dumb dicks? You don't get to see the rest of the match. This would never happen in WWE. You're not going to watch a WWE pay-per-view unless it's because of weather issues, aka the Beware Dog incident. You're never going to have, only in WCW, where they couldn't bother telling them they're going to go overtime. They're going to go over. And they couldn't bother doing that, so only in WCW could they get their pay-per-view yanked. Oh, shit. Anyways, we do get to see this match. And it's an incredible match. It's the best Goldberg match. And it's the best DDP match up at that point until his match with Sting on Nitro in April 1999. This is a spectacular match. They really played their injuries really well. And it's a fucking awesome. Entrances alone make this match really fucking good. But just imagine having to watch this show back in 1998. After watching that abominable piece of shit and Hollywood Hogan versus The Warrior, you're so excited to see Goldberg versus DDP. But, yoink! There goes the pay-per-view. And WCW had to refund their fans millions of dollars and had to show Goldberg DDP their title match in its entirety on Nitro. But hey, at least Bischoff can brag that he finally won a ratings victory in like 12 weeks. Or rather 8 weeks. So yeah, that's actually what happened. So they showed the match on Nitro. and they won the week. And it would actually be the last time Nitro beat Raw in the ratings war. So I guess, okay. After witnessing the worst match in WCW history and had to refund millions of dollars to their fans, their pay-per-view audience. But, hey, they get to win the week. They get to win Nitro the next day. So, maybe it all falls into place. Maybe everything just evens out. No, it fucking doesn't. Anyways, Halloween Havoc, it just shows you the differences between WCW and WWF at the time. Really, WCW, a lot of people like to say Vince Russo killed WCW. Vince Russo was WCW's own worst enemy. The NWO was WCW's worst enemy. Ego problem was their own worst enemy. But you want to know what was the worst enemy in WCW? It actually goes really well because there's a famous song that I'm about to name drop that was, I'm pretty sure, number one at the point. WCW's worst enemy was themselves. They were their own worst enemy. And this show proves that in of itself. Can we forget of all the times that I was drunk? Can we forget all the things I said when I was drunk? I didn't mean it. Tell me why my car is out in the front lawn and I am sleeping in my clothes on last night. I am my own worst enemy. And every now and then I kick the living shit out of me. I'm DanRock08, 4.2 out of 10. WCW is their own worst enemy. And I'll catch you next time for World War III and a bunch of other pay-per-views. Catch you next time. Goodbye.